Well, just before President Obama flew out to Kenya, our White House correspondent Patty Culhane sat down with the U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Penny Pritzker, who's charged with improving entrepreneurship in Africa. Patty began by asking Secretary Pritzker about America's engagement with Africa. Here's that interview.
Madam Secretary, thank you so much for joining us here on Al Jazeera English.
Pleasure to be with you.
I want to talk to you about Africa. I know in the last couple of years, President Barack Obama has made it a huge emphasis, especially for your department. But at the same time, if you look at the numbers, China has been really getting a foothold there. How big is the advantage that China has?
I don't worry about China's position in Africa. Really what's more important is what we're trying to do is promote the opportunity for American business, whether it's around entrepreneurship at the upcoming Global Entrepreneurship Summit, or its trade missions in terms of helping American companies access those markets. We in fact have doubled the number of our foreign commercial service officers in Africa so that we can help more companies take advantage of what are growing opportunities across Africa.
But if you look at just the import-export numbers from 2012 to 2014, the U.S. was $113 billion in trade, and then it dropped to below $100 billion. So how do you reverse that trend?
It requires more attention, it requires more effort, which is what we're doing. It's why the President did the Doing Business in Africa Summit last year, at which we organized, but it's also why we have a Doing Business in Africa Council that's advising us on policy. It's why we're leading more trade missions. It's why we've amped up our efforts, because there's a real market opportunity there. I think 6 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa, and American businesses want to be there, but they need help in navigating the variety of rules in the different countries, and so that's part of our job.
Security, I would imagine, is one of the biggest concerns when it comes to American companies. What do you say to them as the liaison to the business community? What is the U.S. doing to try and help security in the continent?
Well, we work with different countries on their security profile. That's obviously, the purview of other departments beside the Department of Commerce. What we're doing is our foreign commercial service officers are helping companies understand how their products are competitive in those markets, and then how to navigate through the different rules and regulations in different markets so that our companies can take advantage of the opportunity that exists in Africa. In terms of security, most of our companies are used to dealing with that situation because they've dealt in other countries around the world, but we work with them.
American companies, are they aware of this huge growing middle class that's literally just growing daily in Africa? What kind of trade do you see, both imports and exports?
Well, I don't have the specific figures, but what I can tell you is more and more companies are aware of the opportunity and are looking to find a path into those markets, and that's where we come in to really help them.
Last question for you. I do want to talk about this summit that you're going to. What is the biggest obstacle on the continent when it comes to entrepreneurship?
Well, I think that the opportunity is entrepreneurship can not only create jobs and be a source of political stability, but the biggest challenge that we have to face is in countries that really where failure is not an option. The culture doesn't accept failure. I've had entrepreneurs at different GES summits who've said to me, I haven't even told my mother I started this company, because they're afraid of not being successful. One of the great things we do in this country is we have laws in the United States that allow you to start and end a business pretty easily, and you don't have any kind of black mark on your reputation. We need to help countries throughout Africa do the same. Help change their culture that encourages risk-taking from an entrepreneurship standpoint. Help them create laws where it's easier to start a business, but also it's easier to end a business, close a business, bankrupt a business, and move on without consequence. And that's the kind of those are the kind of ways where we as the U.S. government can be very helpful.
Madam Secretary, thank you again for joining Al Jazeera English.
Thank you.